Hello tanks and tankettes, and welcome to my VK contest winner video, and probably the last video I'm going to do before Tankfest as well. This is XRN1 and he is our winner. He's got himself a VK4503. I was slightly surprised to see that it was going to be a Tiger P that would win rather than a Tiger, because the Tiger just has much better DPM. It can do more damage basically. But the Tiger P does have one or two advantages, kind of, but you might also say there are advantages that are disadvantages too. It's got better frontal armor, but it has armor like the KV5 has armor. It's not very difficult to find the weak spots, because not only have you got that honking great big commander's cupola, but at the front the beveled edges are considerably weaker than the main bulk of the front plate as well. So if you know what you're doing, if you've got time to aim, it's really not hard to avoid that thicker armour. Now, before I actually talk about the game itself, I'm going to say there really weren't many entrants. Maybe I drastically overestimated the number of people that still had a Tiger and a Tiger P that, you know, wanted to win a VK. The fact that I also had to restrict it to EU only, well, that was beyond my control, but that will undoubtedly have also had an impact. So in the end, there were a grand total of 4 entrants, even though I let it run for an extra week. So perhaps next time, if I was doing a similar thing, I would just say tier 7 heavy tanks rather than restricting it specifically to the Tigers. But anyway, here we are. This is XR and he's won himself a VK. So he's already got a kill on an unwary FCM 50T. The matchmaking is actually not bad. I mean, it's a tier 8 game, but there are plenty of tier 7s for him to shoot at. And the long 88 gun, as with the Tiger, it's more than good enough for seeing the vast majority of tier 8 tanks. There are some tier 9 tanks it might struggle with, but for tier 8s it's fine. Talking of tier 8s, yes, that is an IS-3 that's coming up behind them. And XR is the only one that really seems to be paying attention or caring at all. The good news is he's going to have shots on this guy's side armor, and even better news, the guy misses. However, he missed his own shot, but this next one won't miss, and in fact it goes in the axle and sets him on fire. So that was a nice bit of RNG right there. Gets another hit in, but the guy is still just alive with about 100 hit points. The Oni! Look at that Oni. If only he'd been paying attention to the minimap. If only. And instead, his obliviousness is going to cost him his tank. Now, too late he's realised, oh crap, there's an IS-3 coming up behind me, but not quick enough to save his own life, because XR's reload is not that good. And as I said, that is one of the big advantages the Tiger has over this thing, is that it just fires that much faster. It actually has a really good DPM for a heavy tank. So, isn't able to quite back up fast enough to deal with that scout, which I think was a bit of a red herring anyway. Instead, really, he's got to concentrate on what's in front of him. And that was actually a little bit of a lucky hit, because that wasn't fully aimed, and it looked like it might have actually gone high enough to ping off the front plate of that T-29. But instead, it did actually pen, so that was good. However, that's one of the tier 8s that he's going to maybe struggle with. That's an IS-6. And turns out the T-29 is at least a smart enough of a player to be paying attention to when XR is firing as well, because every time XR fires, this T-29 pops out to take a shot at him, which is exactly the sort of thing that you should be doing. And this guy also, despite XR's angling, knows weak spots. He knows that it's not that hard to overcome the armor of a Tiger P. Now, XR himself aiming for a weak spot there, going for the commander's cupola on the IS-6, which is probably the best place he can reliably frontally penetrate that guy. But he's taken some damage himself in the process. From that T-29, I think he took 2 hits from that guy before the Jagdpanzer IV, of all things, actually killed him. But, well, although it's been looking a bit dicey on this corner, I mean, they had a comfortable lead, and they still, in theory, have a comfortable lead, but this corner was a really tough fight, and it is basically down to XR, this Jagdpanzer IV, and a Ferdinand, who looks like he's trying to flank. And of the enemies, well, the T-25-2 is a one-shot, but, as we're going to see very shortly, the Black Prince is not. That's a problem, because the Black Prince has got a really good DPM also, and he has more than enough penetration So, yeah. Hastily, XR backs into cover because he does not want to sit in front of that 17-pounder gun. There are a lot of tanks that the 17-pounder on the Black Prince and the A45, all of the tier 7 17-pounder machines. I mean, I think the Challenger's the only other one actually, but yeah, that they will struggle to pen. But the side of a Tiger is absolutely not one of those things that it will struggle to pen. So now he's got a problem because this guy has the health to absorb the hits. He doesn't, and oh dear, that's ammo rack damage. Well, okay, this is not good. The Black Prince absolutely has the upper hand here. However, artillery has just evened things out, so there we go. That was a bit lucky. One more hit could have killed him. There's still the T-25-2 to deal with, however. Now, it looks at this point, though, like the Ferdinand's going to come up and help, and oh dear. Except the Ferdinand isn't. For some reason, the Ferdinand is running away. Couldn't tell you why. The enemy team's down to their last couple of tanks, and I think he was a bit incredulous. He goes to look at what the Ferdinand's doing, because the Ferdinand, that T-25-2 is such an easy one-shot. He's even pinging the minimap, but this Ferdinand is just completely oblivious, much like the Oni earlier. So, yes, the power of the minimap and the power of, you know, players not looking at the minimap sometimes astounds one. And then, well, we're going to see something even more derpy, this ELC. No, don't reverse up a slope. Don't reverse up a slope. What are you doing? Never mind. Okay. He's in an ELC. He's on a slope. He could accelerate downhill really quickly. He could dodge. He could have gotten to those houses for cover. Instead, he chose to reverse up a slope in front of an ISU. Could not tell you what that guy was thinking. But whatever he was thinking, it wasn't very smart. So, we're now down to, having had a comfortable advantage, this kind of situation where it looks like they might actually be snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. This is not good. This is not good. They're now relying on artillery, which is obviously very, very RNG dependent, and this Ferdinand, who's proved himself not to be the sharpest player ever. What's left on the enemy team is the T-25-2, who he should have gone and killed. By all rights, that guy should be dead, but never mind. An ISU, who can easily one-shot the 30, and that Tier 8 arty. And, well, that arty is now lining up to take a shot on him. However, his own allied artillery quite fortunately gets the kill, so we don't have to worry about him being shotgunned by that guy. Now, this is risky because, well, we know the ISU is somewhere in front of him, and the T-25-2's got to be coming up behind him, and there he is. This was so very, very predictable, but apparently the Ferdinand did not at any point think to, I don't even know. All these minimap features that tell you last known positions and tell you what tanks are where, they're all just within the vanilla client these days, and if you don't have them turned on, absolutely you should do. Now, again, artillery to the rescue. Artillery is able to land a shot close enough that it splashes that T-25-2. I almost said the Lorraine. No, it was the Lorraine that took the shot. Splashes the T-25-2 and gets the kill. So now it's just the ISU, and we don't know where he is exactly. We know where he was last spotted, and perhaps the Ferdinand does as well. Perhaps he does actually have the minimap tracers turned on, because he's sitting there pinging for help, very sensibly waiting for his own artillery to reload, which is the first sensible thing we've seen him do, to be quite honest. And then the ISU shows up, and once again artillery saving the day. So this really was artillery saving the day, but I suppose at least the 30 was alive at the end there to provide the spotting for the artillery, I guess. But yeah, there was a bit of derpy play from the last couple of players there. I mean, the 30 wasn't that bad, all things considered. He really should have gone for the T-25-2, but that ELC and the Oni earlier on in the game, who we can see did 0 damage, dead last on the team. Anyway, however, XRM1's score was enough to put him at the top. He got 1200 base XP, 1232, with over 2000 damage done and another 1200 assistance damage, and that was enough for second place on the team. It was actually their own IS-6 that was in first place with a slightly better score than that and more damage. But because he was in a tier 7 game doing, or in a tier 7 tank rather, doing damage to tier 8 machines, that was enough to get him a very nice score, and it was nice enough to win him a tier 7 premium tank. So I hope you enjoy your new machine, and thank you to all those that did participate, even though there wasn't very many of you. Next time I'll try and do it in a way that maybe makes it a bit more open to like more people taking part. No guarantees ever as to whether I can include other server regions. I mean, they've been better about it recently in terms of at least being able to include NA viewers, but a lot of the time it depends on me asking the EU team, and then the EU team has to check with the NA team. And sometimes I've tried asking the NA side directly. I've also made 1 or 2 attempts at contacting the Asian server English community team, but yeah, no, that's just been 100% unsuccessful. So I think I'm just going to have to give up on the idea of ever getting any of the WG prizes, or the WG provided prizes, to work on that server. So once again, Asia server players, you continue to be out of luck. But there's not much I can do about that, unfortunately. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and like I said, there's going to be a break for a bit over a week while I am travelling to Tankfest and then travelling back. It's actually 5 days travel and 3 days at Tankfest, so it's going to be a bit of a journey. But yeah, it should be fun. It's just the actual travelling part that I find a tad stressful. It'll be fine, probably. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you have, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can sub to my channel if you want already, and as always, stay tuned for more.